What an amazing evening that we are here, a new month, 3rd of October. It has been an amazing journey that God has helped us to walk. And tonight I want to welcome you. Take your seats. Make sure you have your notebook. Make sure you have your pen. Make sure that you're able to tag a friend. You're able to call a friend. You're able to repost this link on your social medias so that we can be able to reach as many people as we can. Remember, our bottom line is we are not here to trend, but we are here to make an impact. We're here to influence how people think, how people see life, and how we can become partner in terms of encouraging one another in this journey. As we walk towards our destiny. So karibu sana. Let us know where you're watching us from. Let us know how the video is. Let us know how the sound is, and we'll be more than glad to to read your comment, to appreciate you from wherever you are watching, from wherever you are. And I know tonight will be an amazing night. So thank you so much. Karibu sana. Even as we continue, digging this well. Remember, we said we are the well where we draw waters of life, where we draw waters of, nugget, wisdom, encouragement, and motivation. Because as we always say, life is not becoming easier. So we need to have true partners we can walk together in this life, in this journey. And that's why we are here. That's why you are there. We always say that we are because you are, and you are because we are. We need one another. We need each other to walk in this journey. So karibu sana. God bless you, even as you open your heart and your mind to receive that which is in us that you require and also require. Because I also believe that in this studio, even as we speak to you, we also speaking to ourselves, because we need this information too. So karibu sana. Thank you so much, even for those people that have taken their time. Thank you, Nyokabi, always making sure. Nyokabi is our top fan member who always makes sure that is able to repost this link in her page, and we really appreciate for always doing that. We don't take it for granted. God bless you. Thank you, Favor, for the good job that you do behind the scene. Thank you, Sam, Big Production, for the good job that you do. John, thank you so much. Thank you even for those people that are joining, and we are very glad. We are very delighted to be here tonight, even as we share. Karibuni sana, even as we get into our topic tonight. And tonight we're talking about, having shocks absorbers in life, or shock absorbers in life. And I'll be able to give some hint how I came up with this topic tonight, because I know this is one of the topics that each and every person that you need to hear, and also you need to borrow some few wisdom that will make life not easier but more favorable and more you're able to deal with it. And so when you talk about shocks, and this is directly borrowed from a car, and you know that every car that has shocks, and the reason why a car that has shocks, that every time that probably you hit a bump, unexpected bump, or probably you hit a pit along the road, or a hole along the road, that the impact is reduced. That means the damage also is reduced. The damage either to the engine, or the damage to the to the body. When I talk about the body of the car, that there is that place when you are able to reduce. The purpose of the having the shocks is making sure that your car is able to reduce the magnitude if an eventuality comes as you're driving, in terms of you hit something, you hit a bump, you hit a hole, that it's able to absorb something. So by the time the impact is getting to the body of the car, is getting to the car, it has been reduced. And I felt sometimes, even in the journey of life, as we're driving this life towards our future, or towards life, towards our destiny, there are moments when things will hit us hard. Their situation will hit us hard. Their things will come unexpected. How do we deal with them? And when I will be talking about the shocks, shocks absorbers in life, I will be looking at twofold. And fold number one, I'll be looking at, do we have enough shocks absorbers? Number two, I'll be looking, our shocks, would be able to say, our shocks still in work. Okay, because you can have shocks in the car, but they're not working, they're not functional. When you look at show, there is that place when they talk about the tension, the place when it hits, and the progression before it go to normalcy. So the same thing that happen in life, that when we are going through things and we are hit, do we have what we'd call a mechanism that will be able to help us to maneuver and to navigate those situations, and at the end of the day we are able to come back to our normalcy in terms of driving and continue soldiering on to our future. So that's what we'll be looking tonight. And have started by saying this: life is not becoming easier. And as life is becoming harder, there are three things that I want to submit to us. Life is becoming a bit uncertainty. There is a high level of uncertainty. You and I might not know what will happen tomorrow, whether in terms of finances, in terms of our health. I know we live by faith, and we also live, we'll sit here and we'll talk about faith and hope, but that one does not eliminate our place of, preparedness, understanding who we are, equipping ourselves, creating capacity, ensuring we have the ability to handle that which comes and is unexpected. You can start a business and tomorrow the business is not there. There are things that will happen, eventualities of life, they will happen. There are things will carry you through, and sometimes you don't know where they're going to, where they're going to leave you. So how do you deal with this? You'll get to a relationship thinking it's going to end up, being walking down the aisle, and sometimes it doesn't happen like that. What happened? How do you deal with these situations? You take your money to an investment thinking you're going to get back the profit and dividend, but who? Kidogo, you're getting stories. You have find people investing in companies. You remember the Desi things, you remember the pyramid things. People took their, their sweat and, savings, and they put into companies expecting that money is going to work for them, and eventually they're going to get dividend, but it didn't happen. And I'm very sure you heard of a number of stories. Majority of families were affected. Even some people committed suicide. So many things that have happened. And when these things have happened in life, where do you run to? How do you deal with it? And that I've said, sometimes life, there is a full of uncertainty of what will happen tomorrow. You have find people, you met them in the morning and you're sharing, and in the evening you're getting another stories that so and so is no longer there, is no more. These shocks will come. These things will come in our life. And I can submit to all of us that in this life, as long as you're breathing, be prepared to receive all manner of news. Be prepared to face all kind of situations. I know all of us want the best. I know all of us want to make sure that our life, it's like you wake up in the morning, things are flowing, you go to Jobu, after Jobu you're not struggling, clients will come and are going to give you a lot of pressure. Everybody, me included, we want that kind of a life. We want to make sure that we get into, you're a parent, your kids are able to understand you, you're able to understand one another. I know everybody, that is the kind of life you're anticipating to have. But along the way, it doesn't happen. When it doesn't happen, what do you do? Where do you run to? Are you prepared enough? There are things, people, we have been brought up in a generation, or I would say in a setup, in an African setup, that probably there are things we don't discuss, but eventually they happen. And because we never looked at them, and we never looked into them, so when they happen, most of the time we are not prepared how to go around them and how to maneuver around them. So I was saying things that life, most of the time, the uncertainty will happen to us. How do we deal with them? Number two, is why you need to have these shocks. Life, most of the time, sometimes will frustrate us. You'll put your hopes in a certain, I remember I was sharing this week with a friend of mine that she had this hope she's going to get this kind of a job. She had a prayed over it, and even tried to do some calls, what you will say, probably one or two people in that company, and you're trying to call them, but little she got a message. And I know most of us probably have ever gotten this, a regret message. We regret to inform you that you never succeeded, or probably you never went through. And I know sometimes this is not an easy message to receive. When you had put all your hopes, when you had called people, life will frustrate us. Life will frustrate us. And when you get that place, what do you do? What do you do? You know, same thing happened in life. You drive to new roads. So sometimes, even as you're getting to adventures, to new adventures, as you're trying to get into new spheres of your life, as you're trying to go and explore life, the things will hit you. But there is a different thing of when we plan, when we have this wishful thinking, when we have this kind of life in the mind, but what is on the ground. Wanasamanga vitu ni different kwa grao. When you hit the ground, when you're trying to venture into different things, probably you'll get someone saying, I want to resign to go and start a business. I want to start a business. Sometimes in our mind, there is a certain kind of a mind to tell us that you can pull through. But until you are there, you get to feel it. You feel the heat when you're ready. When you come near the fire, or when probably at the fireplace. So life in that angle will push you to a place when, even as you're trying to discover more, to discover new ways, as you're discovering new spheres of your life, there are things you'll get there, and sometimes they'll hit you hard. And sometimes people will say, I wish I knew this before. And the place of saying I wish I knew before is because there is a certain framework we had in our mind. There are certain frameworks that we have entertained in our mind. But when we get into the real thing, then we realize things are different. And I'm trying to create this picture. I'm trying to bring this narrative so that you realize that in life, my friend, you need to have these shock absorbers. Now let's get into a place of what are these things, or what are these coping strategies that I have labeled them as shock absorber. Number one, that in this life, and I have said time and again, and I want to say it again, please always accept that you're going to face failure as you venture into success. All of us, there is a fixated kind of mind that we want to be successful. And because we never figured out we can fail, we never figured that we can, it can turn otherwise. That place of us being sure of one side and not seeing the other side of the coin, sometimes it really hit us so badly. When they say that, everybody, this kind of expectation that you have, but even as you are working so hard, you know that you want to succeed, always tell something in the back of your mind. Sometimes see yourself failing, because when you can see yourself failing, if it happened, and my word is, if it happened, you already had envisioned yourself. I know everybody wants to wake up in the morning, start a business, succeeds. But my friend, sometimes it is not the case. Sometimes, to be very honest, you'll get to a relationship, and along the way you realize it can't work. It is not the end of life. You'll put yourself in you put your savings in a certain institution, thinking you're going to get back dividends, and eventually you're able to make money out of it. But what happens when you don't get there? Had you envisioned yourself that, yes, 80% I'm giving myself that I'll succeed, but leave a window. Leave a window, because you're a human being. Everybody will wake up in the morning and take their car, expecting they will drive well, and they're not going to hit any pit hole, they're not going to hit any bump, they're going to observe all driving or signs, and they're going to observe the lane, and they're going to observe the discipline on the road. Everybody, that is their goal. That is their desire. But the moment you get on the road, there are things will come into your mind, and you'll get yourself hitting that bump, you'll get yourself hitting that hole. And were I not for those shocks, then probably you'll get yourself carrying one wheel and the other one on the other, one tire on the other side, on the other one on the other side, because nothing is in the place. But thank God, because that car that has those shock absorbers. You also need to have that shock absorber. Number one, what I have called, tell yourself, I know I won't succeed, but even if failure comes into my life, I know I can handle it, because I had envisioned myself, I have left a room, even as I'm working to succeed. If it doesn't materialize as I want, what will I do? What they will call, how do you manage the fear of the unknown? Because you need to understand how to manage the fear of the unknown. And that is one of the clear, I would say, a shock that you need to have, you and I need to have. If it doesn't work, are you ready to tell yourself that, you know what, I tried, I did the best, but I have failed and have learned my lesson. I can apply a better, I can apply the lesson in the next course of my life. And I hope that is clear. Number two, and very key, when you want to navigate in this life, you need shock absorbers in the area of, do and take calculative moves. Some of us sometimes, I would say, either we are too ambitious or we are too, I don't know which other word I can put, in terms of either we get excited very fast and we don't do, we don't calculate the cost of what you want to do. What are the, like if you were to do a SWOT analysis, what are the strength, opportunity, weakness, and the threats that you're likely to face in this thing that you want to do? Because remember, most of the time when we get shocks in life, either because we took ourselves to an environment that we were not prepared, or probably we took ourselves to an environment and we didn't have the capability to sustain ourselves in that level. So when I'm talking about doing calculative moves, whatever you want to do in life, my friend, there is wisdom in taking more time to prepare before you get into the place of performance. Majority of us have gotten to this place of want to perform, want to do the best, but they don't have the ability and the capacity, so they end up messing. They end up, like sometimes I would say, we have put ourselves into a place when we are crying and we took ourselves to that fire because we either got excited. Like, look at this. Sometimes you have gotten, when they say, when the deal is too good, think twice. And that moment is, it's a place of opening up your mind, opening up your height, and trying to see, this thing that I want to venture in, have I really done visibility study? Have I tried to understand it well? This business that I want to venture in, do I have the required skills? Do I have the required knowledge to run this business? Do I have what would call interpersonal skills that will sustain this business? Sometimes you have gotten people take all their saving, start a business because they saw their friend opening it, and when they are hit hard, they're like, you know what? I think this life is not fair to us. It is not life that is not fair. And remember, we have said time and again in this show that life does not happen. It responds to the decision that you make. Some of us are seated down tonight and they're crying. And sorry because you're crying, but I would wish, as you're getting to the next phase of your life, please do calculative moves. As you're meeting this man and you're meeting this lady and you're getting yourself to a relationship and you're saying this is until death, death do us apart. By the time you're getting to that place, have you done calculative moves in terms of, do I have what it takes to maintain this relationship? What am I bringing on the table? What is this thing that is there? So that when I'm talking about the relationship not working, I had done, at least I have been able to analyze the situation and I know I have what it takes for me to push it on. I hope I'm clear that, friends, tonight we cannot continue doing the same mistakes. We cannot continue going the same way. You cannot drive the same road twice and hit the same bump. There must be a problem with your driving skills. You cannot, hawezi umonanyoka twice, the same place, and you're still going back there. By the time, if you keep repeating the same mistake and eventually it becomes part of you, you're going to live a life full of mediocrity. And by the time you're realizing, it becomes part of your life and you cannot do better. Because there's a certain kind of life you entertained. You need, and we need tonight, Before we wake up and do whatever we want to do, let's have a moment of asking ourselves, before I take this move, am I able to understand what is required of me? Before I venture to any phase of my life, do I know what is required for me to move on into that phase? You need to agree with yourself. And if you want to make sure that you're able to handle life well, do and take calculated moves. Take your time. Don't be in a hurry. Don't be in a hurry to compete with people, but make sure that you're able to deal with that situation. And number 3 shock that you need to have, you need to be emotionally stable. Your emotionally stable stability, it's very key. And remember, emotional stability, it is not an event. You don't say that you have reached a place of emotional stability. It's not an event, it's a process. You keep growing yourself. And how do you become emotional stable? Stable is a place where, number 1, you are more assertive with the self. You are more aware of the self. You are more aware about your ability. You are more aware of your strength and your weakness. You keep building the self, the inner. You keep protecting the safe place. You keep, that a place of building the emotion. The place when you are so much aware of yourself and the things you're going through and how you react and act into situations and circumstances. That's how you keep building emotional stability. There is no one in this world, me included, will say we have reached to a place of achieving 100% emotional stability. We are always in a progressive manner, building our emotional stability. Where you are last year, it is not where you are today. And the best place of making sure you're working on emotional stability, make sure you are able to be in touch with the inner self. And being in touch with the inner self, understand the things that makes you, become happy, the things that makes you sad, the things that makes you feel, happy about yourself. Be in touch with the self. Because that's a place that, and I've said time and again, that the bedrock of succeeding in this life is in making sure that the inner you, it is in the right place. The greatest place of absorbing these shocks, these shocking news that are coming into your life, is a place of understanding who are you emotionally. How are you wired emotionally? The place when you can be able to say it is well, it is not okay with me. The place when you cannot pretend. The place when you know this is when I know I'm breaking and I know how I can handle myself. And I'll tell you tonight, if you want to make sure that you're working on yourself in terms of emotions, 3 things are very important. Number 1, always exercise self-love. Always love yourself. Let me tell you, and I've said in this show again, and I will never get tired of repeating myself on this. No one was created to love you. People will sack you from a job, but they'll never sack you from your own life. People can disassociate themselves from you. They can disconnect themselves from you, but you can never, you're the only person who can disconnect yourself from your personal life, your own life. That means you're the only person who understands thyself better. And the more that you get to know yourself, the more you get to know what you can handle. The more you get to be aware of the self, you know to what area you can expose yourself to. So if we'll be able to navigate this life with a lot of, harsh environment, harsh things happening in your life, harsh conditions facing your life, if you'll be able to navigate well, you must making sure that I love myself and I will not let things define me. I will not let circumstances define who I am. I know these things are not permanent, but I'm the only person who is permanent in this life and in my life. And that will help you the place of emotional stability. How are you in terms of emotional stability? Thank you. I see my class. I see I have enough guys who have already joined. God bless you. Let me take a moment and appreciate you. Mary Ritho, God bless you. William David, Pasi, God bless you. Tabithangige, God bless you for joining. Bethy Wajoni, God bless you for coming, Mama. I hope you're doing very well. Asante Sana. Thank you, Nyambura Waweru. God bless you for representing Landless. Asante Sana. Favored Alice, thank you. Thank you guys for taking your time, and even those who started with Kinasholuta who are still with us. God bless you. Thank you all my friends from Baringo, my friends from Taita, my friend from Kisumu. God bless you for taking your time. Asante Sana. Yes, I can see you're such a blessing. Always know that. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Nyambura, saying that you cannot drive the same place twice and hit the same bump. True, very true. Wow, you cannot do the same mistake twice. Learn something great. Thank you, Favor Alice, for that comment. Kindly continue dropping your comment, and please making sure that you are, you're sharing this link. You are able to retweet it so that we can be able to reach as many people as we can in terms of being impactful to the people that God have placed in our life. Let me continue because of the interest of time. And that's why I was saying that one of the greatest shock that you need to have is the emotional stability. You need to make sure that that place of being emotionally aware of yourself, being emotionally wired, being emotionally, emotionally connected with yourself, that you're not avoiding. And the best thing is being real to situations as they happen. When you are frustrated, accept you're frustrated. Don't fake it. I know we have a cliche in this life that we say that fake it until you make it. And my friend, I want to tell you, if you want to still hold on that you're faking it until you make it, by the time you are making it, you have no energy to continue with this life. So accept as things happen. If it didn't work, it didn't work. And understand that life will always, when one door closes, another door opens. But sometimes we are so limited by the things probably we had put our mind and our heart. I know it is not easy to leave things that probably we invested our time, our money, our emotion, everything we had banked on it. But when it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that is the end of life. I think, allow me to quote, because it has happened, and you saw a guy who committed suicide, and he's a gospel musician, because he had invested in a certain platform, and little did he know it was a scam, and when the money was gone, he had nothing else until he got to a place of committing suicide. Sometimes it's not easy, because this was the only, at that particular moment, that was his life. That is the only thing that he had. But you know what? Even when that moment hit you hard, imagine as long as you are breathing, as long as you and I are breathing, a material of greatness. We are candidate of change. We are candidate of prosperity. We are candidate as long as you're breathing. That is the guarantee. You might not have money, you might not have relationship, you might not have big name, you might not have big car, you might not be staying in a big estate, but as long as you're breathing, you are entitled to those things that you don't have, because no one knows what the future holds. And the reason why I want to encourage you to have those shocks, carry yourself along. When they hit you hard, please wake up. If you have to cry for a day, but tomorrow wake up in the morning. Take yourself to a bathroom, make sure you take a good shower, dress well, and tell yourself, you know what, I'm included in the numbers of those people who will enjoy tomorrow, because no one will know what tomorrow holds. When that relationship ends, it doesn't mean that you are written off in the books of relationships. It is just telling you something will happen for you. Remain positive in life. When you close that business, please wake up in the morning, take yourself for a walk, and be in touch with yourself, and tell yourself, you know what, that business has ended. Thank you, God, for the lesson I have learned. But I know I'm a better entrepreneur because I have analyzed what made me not to do it better. I know I can do it better. Brothers and sisters, gentlemen and ladies, As long as tonight you're breathing, I want to submit to you. Just hold on. Make sure your shocks are right, because a time will come when you're going to drive in a better road. Kuna wase saizi wana drive na huku hivi kwenye hakuna hata barabara. Umegonga mashimo zote, unagonga shimo ya relationship, unagonga ya job, unagonga ya food, umegonga mashimo zote mpaka unashindwa hii gari itatokea. Usijali, as long as the engine inavuta mafuta. Trust you me, you'll get somewhere. As long as that engine is, as long as your heart and your brain, they are still working, don't you worry, you'll come out better. Just make sure that you emotionally you're okay. Mentally, the another shock absorber you need to have, it's the mental capacity and wellness. You know, when we talk about the mental wellness, and this is very key, when you're emotionally okay, then you have taken care of your mind. You need to tell your mind, you know what? It's not everything that I was meant to handle. It's not everything I was meant to deal with. It's not everything. The place of accepting that is not everything that you can do at all time. There are moments, there are things you want to do, but you don't have the ability. Tell yourself, at this particular moment, I'm not able to deal with it. And when I talk about the mental health, it is good to get to a place of having positive vibes. Having positive vibes. Learn to let your mind think positivity. Let your mind to generate that tenacity of positivity. Sometimes we want to live a good life, but we have entertaining a negative thoughts. Sometimes we want to do things, but contrarily in our mind, we have a different picture. We have entertained a certain mind in our mind, and yet we want to do something else. You know, defeat and success is always achieved in the state of your mind. If you can deal with your mind, you can tell your mind, you know what? Some I've tried, but I'm not giving up. Some, I know I have tried to do these things and have failed 100 times, but I'll pick myself for 101th time. That positive attitude that we need to generate. You know, we are living in a generation when everything is about negativity. It's like we have attention within ourselves of looking of things which are not working. People wake up in the morning and they go to social media, and the things they post there, negativity. You cannot you cannot maintain your shocks as long as you're consuming negativity. As long as you're exposing yourself to negative media, to negative hearings, to negative words, to negative materials, garbage in, garbage out. What you expose yourself has ability to nurture and to build you to what you want to be. I remember I said last week but one, that I said what your hands do, it is an indication, it's a reflection of what is in your mind. Anything your hands will find to do, it is what the mind has already directed. Remember, I've said this, that you don't walk because you have legs, you walk because you have brain. Walking is not an activity of the of legs. It is a direction. It's a function of the mind. That you'll find people who have, the organ or the part of the body that is the leg, but they cannot walk because the mind is not able to comprehend and connect and command the legs to walk. So you don't see because you have eyes. You see because you have brain. So the moment you start changing your mindset, you'll start seeing different. The moment you state your mind, you start walking in a different direction. You'll never walk when your eyes are closed. So that means your mind has to coordinate where you're going and where you're coming from. You need to make sure that your mind, it is in a good condition to handle stuff as they come. Remember, we said life will slap us, and as it continues slapping us, we are not giving up. We'll rise up and move on. You need to make sure that you are working on your shock absorber, and you need to make sure the one component, it is your mind. As the man thinketh, so he is. Anything you can generate in your mind, your hand can fulfill it. Anything you can tell your mind you can go for it, your legs will make sure will run as fast as they can to be able to get it. Are you ready tonight to work on your mind? Because that is one of the shock absorber that you need to have. And you need also to understand that in this life, you have no solution to every problem. It is not everything that, it's not everything that you work out to get solution at that particular moment. We don't have an instant answer to every problem. Also in your mind, tell your mind, I will allow myself time. Sometimes time, they say, heals, and time is a good teacher. Sometimes time will teach you the best things in your life when you become patient with yourself. When you allow yourself to make sure that this thing that I'm going through, I might not handle it today, but I can give myself time. I hope tonight there is someone who is saying, I need to work on my mind, because your mind is one asset in terms of receiving and handling shocks. As shocks will come in your life, as you're getting disturbing message, as you're getting discouraging message, your mind can be able to hold you when you have worked on your mind. Now, let me take to part B of my show tonight, and I wanted to just discuss how do you keep, even kwa gari, you keep changing your shocks. How do you keep improving your shocks? Because you need to learn to, whatever worked for you 10 years might not work for you today. Whatever worked for you last year might not work for you today. So you need to understand, how do I keep progressing and be able to update myself? And the same thing happen, because you cannot have, as I have said, you cannot keep handling the same life that with the same mind that you did when you are 20 and now you are 30, and expect the same life to give the same result that it gives you at 20. Things are changing. So you also need to understand, you as life is, as you get into different phases of life, if today you are single, then you become a parent, there are shocks that you need as a parent. As you become, you are single, as you're getting engaged and you're getting into marriage, there are certain shocks that you need as you progress into different lives, different phases of your life. You also need to keep growing different shocks that will help you to deal with yourself in that area. Remember, we have said you cannot keep copy pasting one solution to all your problems. It's get to a place and it become invalid. It becomes infertility. So you need to understand that new problems require new answers, new challenges require new solutions. So how do you keep rebuilding yourself? And that's what I'm going to look at in my next part of the show. And I'm going to talk about 5 things, and then we'll call it a night. Number 1, as you continue growing yourself, also making sure that you are able to increase your capacity, your mental capacity, your emotional capacity, your financial capacity, your psychological capacity. You need to work on increasing your capacities. And how do you increase your capacity? Number 1, by challenging yourself to try new things. The best way of driving is always making sure that you're able to run or to drive in new roads, and you're able to observe rules of and disciplines of the road. It helps you that even when you're driving on the roads that you know how to go about it. This life, you need to keep challenging yourself to try new things. And the new things, they come to show you what you carry, the ability that you have, the strength that you have. You'll never know what you carry until you're tested. You'll never know how strong you are until you know how you're how strong you are until you're tested. So sometimes also it's good to test yourself. Sometimes it's good to take something new. Don't be this person who has things they were, as they are, and they will be. As we say, try new things. Try new challenges in life. You'll know how much you have within you. You'll put your capacity and your ability into test. And you'll only test yourself by taking new challenges. Don't live this a comfort life. You have stayed in one place, in one landlord for 10 years, and you're like, me, by them yakugana fear could change. Please change, go meet other people with different cultures. They will, you'll start developing some new, coping strategies, coping methods of life. Don't stay in one place for long. You know, life is sweet when you learn to introduce newness in your life. You know, learn, create new networks, create new relationships. They will help you to understand. If you have been dealing with the sanguines, maybe probably try for Milan. They're going to learn something from them. They're going to give you a character, and as you are learning how to deal with that character, you're becoming better. Learn to hear different stories. Don't stay with one story from January to December. Learn to expose yourself, because exposure helps you to learn and understand people, how things are. So if you want to make sure that you're able to, deal and improve your shocks, make sure that you're able to test your capacity. You're able to grow your capacity. See how far, your elasticity, how far you can go when you are pulled by things. And it will push you to a certain level. Number 2 that you need to work on, it is always challenge yourself to grow. And when I'm talking about challenge yourself to grow, there are people who have lived in a certain cadre, in terms of what we call a comfort zone. Have you ever seen someone amefanya job moja for 20 years, amewalk in a certain street for 20 years, natakagi kujua kitu ingine? There are people who know that this is the way I need to do my food. If you tell them something else, they're like, no. And you know, these things, when you're growing yourself, you're not only growing yourself, and when I'm talking about growing yourself, it's growing yourself in terms of everything, inward and outward. And when you're growing yourself in these things, when I have said you have grown, when you have grown your capacity, number 1, then we can only know how your capacity is when it has getting to be result oriented. And that's what I'm talking. Number 2, the growth it means, there are results we can see. What are these things that you can be able to say? Don't be this a wishful person. Thinking is good. And that's why I love God, because he said, I bless the work of your hand. If he said, I bless the work of your thinking, everybody will be rich. Because you think of something, you get it. You think of having a car, please, you get it, bump. But God knew that after you have had this clear plan, this clear strategy, you need to put it into work. And that is the place of growth. Result oriented. My friend, be result oriented. Make sure there is something every year. Make sure that every year when you're doing your stock, you can be able to say something new you have learned this year. You can be able to say there is something this year I have been able to achieve. And by the way, I want to pose this question. We have, in the month of October, we have done almost 9 months down. This is our 10th month. What can you say you have achieved so far? What can you show? What can you be able to say? Man, I thank God the far have come, even the remaining 3 months or 2 months and 27 or 20 so days, that as I'm progressing to achieve this is the far that I have come. What can you be able to show? What is that thing that can be able to excite you? What is that thing that you can be able to do? Number 3, and very important, always don't leave your past in your present. Most of the time, we get ourselves living our past. That's when you find people, when they're talking about issues of life and they're talking what they have gone through, they'll take almost 3 hours explaining where they're coming from. But they will not take the same energy and the same time and the same power to show and to convince themselves where they're going. And that's the place when we have hijacked our future by living our present. Every day we are in our present. We want to, pull the dramas, pull, the frustration of our past, and making sure that it's like we have allowed our past dictate how our future will be. I agree that history sometimes will repeat itself. I agree that history will inform our future, but as it's forming our future, it is always helping us to make sure that if we can be able to connect our past and be able to sieve what is not right, what cannot work for us, and be able to know that I'm not going to allow my future being destroyed by my past. Remember, my past probably I can't change, but I have the ability to change my future. I can be able to change my future, one, either by exposing myself to different environment, by choosing who will be in my life, by choosing what networks I want, by choosing the kind of relationship that I want. I might not change the relationship I went through, but I have the ability to change the relationship that I want to go through. I may not change the business that failed, but I can choose the business that I'm going to venture in. I might not choose to correct the mistakes that I went through, but I can choose to make right decisions that I'm not going to make the same mistakes. You cannot keep working on your shocks if you continue living on your past. If you're here and you're this worship person, I was left, this didn't work, that one didn't help me, that one did not stand with me. My friend, you'll never be able to handle this life. And the place of handling this life is understanding that my future is my future. I can dictate with the help of God how I want my future to come. We have said if you wake up tomorrow morning, you might decide to cover yourself on a blanket and continue sleeping. It is still your future. You can decide to wake up in the morning and say, do you know what? I'm going to move around my estate and find something to do, whether to volunteer or for pay. And I'm telling you, there is no one have ever succeeded by sitting in the same position. Remember, we have said failure and success, both they happen in the place of doing. And when both happen, they give you a lesson. How you interpret the lesson is up to you. This life is not becoming easy. This life, don't know what will happen tomorrow. But what will make us know how to handle it is making sure that our past will not dictate our future. If you're going to rise above the challenges and the obstacles of life, is making sure that tag, that labeling that comes into our mind based on what we did. The people who can always dictate how their future will be based on what they did. But let me tell you, we have said, as long as you're breathing, you not know what will happen tomorrow. So please don't allow yourself the future to dictate, the past to dictate you. Arise today and live your present as you connect yourself to the future. And number 4 or number 3, depending on where you are, if you want to improve on your shocks, don't be too hard on yourself. Don't be too hard on yourself. Sometimes we hit ourselves so hard. We label ourselves. We call ourselves names. I know it's so painful. I'm a driver and I know what you feel. That car pain when you hit, when you do something wrong on the road, there is a certain pain that comes. But you cannot concentrate on that pain because you need to move on with life. I know you and I have made mistakes. We have failed sometimes miserably in areas people expected us to shine. But you know what? Let's not be so hard on ourselves. When you become so hard on yourself, that's when you get, you find like you're useless. You find like you're a failure. You find like you never amount to anything. You find like you're not good. We are good for nothing because you're so hard on yourself. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, I know we want the best for ourselves. I know you're seated there and you're like, man, I wish I did this better. It's okay, you didn't do it. But here you are. Why should you be crying the whole night? Why should you be continue losing that weight, adding that weight because of stress and depression, because of the things you cannot change? Why do you hang yourself? Why do you let things dictate who you are? Because you're so hard on yourself. Why don't you for tonight forgive yourself? Why don't you hug yourself and tell yourself, I know I've made mistakes, but you know what? I will not let this mistake be able to blind me. I'll not let this mistake put a veil on me that I'm good for nothing. Let me tell you something. When you write the word useless, those are 2 words. It is use and less. So you might decide to choose it or to look at it as useless or used less. It means you have been used less. So there's still more power within you. There's still more power within you. You can do much. Better you are used less because there is much you can do. Please don't be so hard on yourself. Forgive yourself from those mistakes. Those mistakes will keep burying you, will make sure you're stagnating and you cannot progress. And at the end of the day, you'll find not making it in life, not because you're not good enough, but because there are things you have hampered for long and you have let those things dictate the next move of your life. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Virginia Kamara, for coming in. Simon Mathenge, thank you, and call the way from Nakuru, and say hi to Auntie and the family. Thank you. Yes, and Koi is saying, encouraging. Sometimes you feel good when your uncle is listening to you and he's also saying that you're doing something. Thank you, Uncle. God bless you. Nelly, thank you. I know Tinganga is well represented. Thank you, Wanjiro Wilson. Wanjiro Wilson should be our new members tonight. Thank you, my brother Stano. Stano, thank you. And Stano is saying that dwelling in the past is the beginning of failure. Very true. How I pray that God may give us the spirit and energy to focus with our future. Blessing, my brother. Thank you. I appreciate my brother for taking your time. Thank you, Sam, Big Sam, for the good job that you're doing behind the scene. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Favor, for the good job that you're doing, and all those people that they have taken their time to come in to drop their comments to make sure that they're making this show a light and a fire. We really don't take it for granted. Thank you so much, brothers and sisters. What are those things? What are those things that you're facing tonight and you're feeling like this is a bump? As you're hitting it, as you're confronting it head on, as you're facing it head on, I want to tell you, you have what it takes. Before any challenge come your way, solution was deposited to you long ago. The reason why shocks are there in a car is because 100% along the way we are going to get an expected bump, or we are going to get an expected pitfall that we a hole that you're going to hit. That's why the shocks are there. If we knew that the road is straight, there were no need for shocks. I want to tell you, that thing that you're facing is because God knew He has deposited what you require, what you need to overcome it in life. Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't let things and people dictate who you are. Don't let things and people define you. You are better than that. You could be down, but you can rise, because we have said the power of a man, it is not standing, but rising up every time you fall down. Are you feeling perturbed? Are you feeling disturbed by things? Are you feeling, weighed down by things? But I came to tell you, as long as you and I are breathing, our future is better. We are candidates. We are included in the number of those people be counted as success in life. Why? Because we chose not to give up. Don't give up. Sorry. When you hit a bump on the road, you don't turn back. If it requires you to pull off, you require to pull off. Sometimes you hit on the road and probably you pull off to check whether everything is okay. Sometimes you need to pull off, and pulling off is disconnecting a bit and be able to find yourself in that place. Then pick yourself and move on, because we have to progress in life. Thank you so much. God bless you for taking your time and making sure that you're always there encouraging us to move on. And that's why we are here. So we want to wish you the best. We want to tell you you're the best. You are blessed. You are highly favored. Until next week, the same show. And I know next week you have 2 shows, because we are going to have our Worship Tuesday and then we're going to have a show on Thursday. So keep it tab. Make sure you are sharing. Call a friend. If you have a question, you have a comment, go drop a comment on our page or DM me, and I know we are becoming better every day, every minute. So thank you so much. Until next week, shalom, shalom, and God bless you.